First day of Transcendence, a 7-day program to help you transmute, transform, and transcend. I'm so excited. We have got a beautiful workbook here, which you can access underneath the guide section of this Awakened Community with Victoria Bond. Come on and say hello if you were jumping on. I cannot wait to begin this training with you guys and tell you about how Transcendence came about. So if you were here, say hello, jump into those comments. Who is excited to transcend? Me. I am so excited. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Victoria Bond. I'm a psychic medium and a spiritual empowerment coach. And what I do is I create digital programs to help people basically transcend. So transcending is going beyond the normal. It is literally expanding beyond what we think is possible. And there is literally 7 steps I'm going to be sharing with you over the next 7 days to help you transcend. So welcome if you are new into my vortex. One thing I want to let you know as well is just by being here, you are starting the process. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on a replay years down the track, it is all the same. You are still getting a complete upgrade, because when we come together with intention like this, we are literally already starting the transcending process. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. And I'm going to begin now because we've been sitting here for a couple of minutes talking about transcending and what's coming up. And you can probably feel the vibes as we're gathering in the energies of our intentions and all of those that are around us as well. Because when more than one person comes together, even if we are watching on a replay, what we do is we're creating a different dynamic, a collective dynamic of change. So what happens is we are actually expanding everything out, and transcending is all about expanding beyond the normal, beyond the limitations that we have put on ourselves. So by showing up here, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping the entire community, the entire collective. This workbook is literally, it's been a beautiful love process. So Luke and I have been creating it. I downloaded it all and he spent days creating it, putting it together. So it's been put together for love for you. And it's not just words on a paper, it's activation. So when you go through the workbook, you will be activating and you're going to be working on your subconscious. Okay. So before we go into today's training, I want to let you know what's coming up for the next 7 days. And there is a process. Okay. So often humans are trying to get to the end goal without going through the process. And we know if we're walking up a hill, right? You could just go look on your phone and look at a view. You could just literally drive up a hill to look at a view, but the view is always so much grander when you've walked the steps, when you've earned your way to actually have the reward at the end. And this is what this transcendence process is about in the next 7 days, is it's going through the process. Sometimes we don't want to go through the process, but when we do, we are unlocking those shadows and we are able to set them free and transcend beyond what we ever thought was possible. So over the next 7 days, we will be going through the sacred self-service. This is what we're going through today. The nervous system is on day 2. Day 3 is communication. Day 4 is self-care. Day 5 is systems. Day 6 is prosperity. And day 7 is design your life. So once we understand that there's so much more than our current reality, you know, when we go beyond looking this narrow mind of this is the way things are, this is my belief, this is how the world looks, this is the truth. We see this with everybody. You know, the most spiritual people can be so narrow-minded. The people can be so stuck in their ways and their patterns and their truths because somebody else told them this is the way it's meant to be. And transcending is completely different. Transcending is about expanding beyond what you ever thought was possible. You'll hear me say that quite a lot. But we have to go back sometimes to where we planted the seeds that were limiting. We want to pull out those limitation seeds and plant new ones. We want to plant seeds of prosperity. We want to plant seeds of joy, of love, of play, of absolute ease. And of course, we want to expand our mind. So we're not just seeing one way, we're seeing many, many different ways, therefore, many different possibilities. So, how are you feeling? Are you excited to be here? What is going on for you right now? The thing I like to do in my membership and in my programs is to tap into our now self. One of my coaches uses the very simple phrase, how now? How are you feeling now? How now? So we're going to use this throughout the next 7 days so you can tap into where you are. Why am I saying this? Because a lot of us think that transcending and ascending is, oh, it's over there. It's getting to that end goal that we're talking about. But we're not going to bypass to get to the end goal. We're going to sit and be in the now while we're going through it. And that's why having a workbook is so amazing. If you don't have a workbook, just grab yourself a pen and paper and just take notes as we go. If you're a person who really likes to dive deep, you might want to pause the video as you go through. All righty, guys. So module 1, I've got notes everywhere here. Module 1 is all about the sacred self-service. And when this Transcendence program, when it dropped in, my husband Luke and I were walking on the beach as we do every day. And I was like, there's something coming for my community. There's something coming. It took about an hour and then all of a sudden it just went, pew, Transcendence. Transcendence. It's going to be a 7-day free program. My husband looks at me like, whoa, that's a lot, Victoria. And I'm like, it is. But we have to have a sacred self-service. And the SSS, the sacred self-service, was, I actually thought this was going to be the whole program because it's a lot and we need to talk about this a lot. But no, we put this into one module because there's so much more juicy stuff to come that you are not going to want to miss. So make sure you come every day and do this process and tell the universe that you are willing to work on yourself. You are willing to transcend beyond your ordinary so you can become absolutely phenomenal, magnificent, aligned, prosperous, abundant. All of these things have a step, a little micro step for a macro result. So the sacred self-service dropped in on the beach, and I kind of couldn't get my head around anything but that, because this is such an important module that cannot be bypassed. And I thought, I really need to emphasize that because so many mums out there and busy people, we're all busy people, just go, oh, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. I've got all the time in the world to work on myself. Thanks. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do that. And I get it because as a mum of a toddler, and a baby 8 years ago, it's a bit easier now because they're 8 and 10, right? It's great. Still busy, but it's great. I had no time. I was breastfeeding one child while the other one is like, mummy, come and do this, while I'm messaging clients because they want to get their hair done. And my husband, I never saw him. He was always at work, always on call, not getting home until late at night. And, it was really, really hard. And I remember going to a chi meditation on a Sunday. It was the only time I could go because my husband was always working. Went on for 1 hour. Cost me $50, which felt like the world. I felt so guilty for spending $50. And I went and sat there and received chi. It was like literally sitting there meditating for an hour while this chi master was flowing us chi. It was amazing. And I had a little chat to him because he was doing these little mini one-to-ones. And I said to him, I am just yucked. I just don't have any time for myself. And he goes, you have to make time for yourself. I said, but you don't understand. I can't do a meditation in the morning and at night. I have no time. I have no time. And I literally was like, when do I have time to do it? My son gets me up 5 to 10 times a night. My daughter, she's a little, 2-year-old. She was busy, and I'm working and trying to be a friend and keeping the household up. Always had this huge pile of washing sitting there because I could never get to it. And I had to do the dinner and everything. I was just like, you're telling me to meditate twice a day? Like, do you want to come over and see my life? Because I am like beyond exhausted. So if someone said to me a sacred self-service, how can you give yourself time? I was literally like, finger up, like, you don't even know what my life is. But how did I get from there to here, where I literally have the space that I desire for my own transcendence daily? I started asking questions. What would it take for me to have the space? What would it take for me to meditate twice a day? What would it take for me not to have to cook dinner every night? What would it take for me to have my washing done? What would it take for me to have more ease with this? What would it take for me not to make $50 going to a meditation, like, be the biggest deal in the world? Like, I felt so bad about spending that $50. I don't even know if I told Luke that. I was like, I'll take it from the hairdressing money. Oh, it's $50. This is like the groceries. Like, do you know what I mean? Have you ever been there where you've been so broke mentally, physically, financially? Time is like, you have no time, no money, no space, and someone's telling you to go meditate twice a day. If you know what I'm talking about, maybe you've had kids, maybe you do have kids, maybe you've had a business. Like, I'm pretty sure that everyone here understands what I'm talking about when we talk about giving time to ourselves, and we're like, yeah, okay, one day, maybe when the kids leave home. And I want us to go, there's another way to transcend beyond that limitation. We need to understand that we are the creator of time. We are the creator of what it is that we're bringing in. We're the creator of the shit that happens to us. We are the creator of the abundance that comes in. When people say to me, oh yeah, we're quite lucky, I'm like, you're not lucky. You created this. Let's celebrate you. Well done. And people that are in scarcity, or they've got like this life that is like super, super hard, they're like, this is always happening to me. What if it's not happening to you? Maybe somewhere you've created this unknowingly. To transcend means going beyond those limitations so you can see your energy leaks. Okay, that's a whole other module we're going into. So don't wait till you crash. Do not wait until you get sick to give yourself a sacred self-service, okay? An SSS. Asking the question over the next 7 days, how now? How am I feeling now? So we're going to be threading this through over the next 7 days. I want you to do this yourself as well. I want you to print off this book, and I want you to do the book. It takes 10 minutes max. Maybe it takes an hour if you're going to put it into your sacred self-service, okay? And I also want you to use this chat box, because I'll be coming in every day, to tell me what is resonating with you. What is popping for you when I speak? Repeat what I'm saying and pop it in the chat box so you remember, because when you say it out, say it to your friends, say it to your husband, say it to your kids, what you learn. Because when we say it, when we write it or type it, we are actually anchoring it in. Okay, so let's get into this, because we want to be here for a nice short amount of time so we can actually, it's like palatable, so we can actually consume the information and make a difference. Okay, so this is not a module to bypass. So the 4 P's. We've got the 4 P's, and I've gone in and I've actually done it myself. I like to work with you guys on this, because the truth is, I'm not the guru. I'm a human going through this experience with you. And my guides come in, and they're the ones who help create the workbook. Luke and I are just the ones that put it together so we can serve. Okay, so the 4 P's. Get a piece of paper and a pen, or get your workbook here. The 4 P's are really important to cover, because this is a crucial part of the sacred self-service. We've got putting yourself first, number 1. We've got pleasure, patience, and practice. These are the 4 Ps. And we need to see where we're at so then we can see where we're going. We need to create a bridge. Okay. So, where are we at now with our sacred self service? Maybe you're really good. Maybe you're an 8 out of 10, 10 being high and 1 being low. Maybe you're an 8 out of 10 already. Maybe you're like, yeah, I do this, Victoria. This is great. Okay. So you exactly where you want to be, or can you add something into it? So maybe it's one of the P's that you need to add in. Maybe it's a little tweak we need to do today. Maybe it's a full-blown overhaul. 8 years ago, I needed a full-blown overhaul, but I had to start with a micro step. And now I've had macro results, literally. Okay. You have to start somewhere. So putting yourself first, 1 to 10, 1 being weak, 10 being, yep, perfect. Where are you at on that? Circle it or write down your number now. Putting yourself first is super important. Why? Because no one else is going to put you first at the detriment of themselves. Well, we hope not, because, we need to be vibing with the people around us at a certain vibration so we can continue to grow and elevate, to transcend. So how good are you at putting your needs first? And even me just saying this right now and you having an awareness in your head is going to make a difference. Okay. So I'm going to go through it with you. So how good are you at putting yourself first? How can you improve this going forward? I'm going to give you some ideas so you can jot them down, whatever resonates for you. So some tools are thinking before you say yes or no. The amount of people, especially mothers or busy people, say yes to babysitting somebody else's kids, or yes to doing this, or yes to doing this, without actually saying, can I do that? Does this fit in with me? In other words, we're always on automatic pilot, and we don't have to be. We can be all of the things if we can grasp the idea that we are the creator of time, and then we transcend beyond. Okay, so here's the tools. Think before you say yes or no. Do I actually want to do this? Don't be afraid of saying yes, and probably say no more than you say yes. Getting up earlier in the household. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to create your own sacred self-service. We're going to talk about this at the end, but we need to break it down into these 4 Ps to see where you're currently at. Okay, got it? Understand? So getting up earlier in the household. If you are swamped with children, with chores, with work, with all the things, and you don't have time, you might have to get up earlier, even if that means going to bed when the kids go to bed and then getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. You might have to do that. Okay. I certainly did. Investing in self-development. I've invested over $200,000. Is that necessarily? No, but I did. And I have expanded massively because we need to invest in ourselves, even if it is just the time to come to a free program, very high value, but this is investing in yourself. So well done, high five. That's amazing. Getting help with your kids, learning how to receive, hopping into your morning vortex. Your morning vortex means wake up and practice your attitude of gratitude. I'm so grateful for, I am so grateful for, I am so grateful for, I am so grateful for. Stepping into that before you go into what is the day going to happen, right? Because how we start the day is potentially how we're going to end the day as well. So your mornings are very important. So how are you putting yourself first? And how can you improve on that? So that's just some ideas there. Okay. So write that down now. Number 2, pleasure. So out of 1 to 10, 1 being weak, 10 being perfect, how are you at experiencing pleasure? Are you experiencing pleasure like every day, every week? Yes, it could be eating some beautiful chocolate or even having pleasure with drinking water, maybe intimacy. But how often would you rate yourself of experiencing actual pleasure where you feel everything opening up, when you're feeling your yoni opening up? That feeling like when you've just hopped into a spa or a bath and you're like, oh my God, it feels so good. or sunbathing in the sun, that things that I like to do. How often are you experiencing that out of 1 to 10? How can you improve this going forward? What are some ways? Sacred spiritual practice. You can do that with cards and oils. I like to use essential oils. I like to use cards. I like to have my candles, and I like to have roses. I like to have a space where I just sit with beautiful music. And I call this a sacred spiritual practice. Every day I do this, right? Self pleasure with tools like feather, with wearing beautiful like silks, dancing around, making sure like my hair feels really good. I feel nice and clean. I always like to put oil on my body, feeling my body, feeling my face, all these pleasurable things. We're not taught any of this, guys. We have to literally take classes as adults. It's like adult education, learning how to pleasure ourselves. And it doesn't have to be orgasmic, or it doesn't have to be sexual, but sensuality and divine feminine is really important. So your pleasure, how much are you in your feminine? I'd like you to put that in the chat box. How often are you in your divine feminine of receiving? How often are you in that pleasure? I'd love to know. 1 to 10, what are you? Pop it in the chat box. Let me know so I can come back and have a look later. A spa, shower, a bath with purpose, breath work, yoni breathing, walk on song. Okay, so one of my friends, she talks about having a walk on song, and it's a great name that she's called it. For me, it's like I have a song that I choose, which is usually for a good 3 months, like Selena Gomez, or maybe it's a real nice like Reiki kind of spiritual one. Maybe it's like a Taylor Swift. So I choose a song, and that's my go-to song. So it can be your go-to song or your walk-on song. And when I walk on, like when I'm in that song, I just feel like it takes me to a vibration, and it takes me to pleasure. It takes me to expansion. It transcends me beyond my current state. So that's a beautiful thing you can do. Wearing fancy knickers and underwear, you can do that for pleasure, even if you're going like and doing gardening or going for a walk with the kids, wearing your active wear or wearing your pajamas. You can wear beautiful lingerie, which is, you know what you're wearing, right? Things like putting on perfume. How many mothers stop wearing beautiful perfumes or oils because they're so busy chasing kids, so busy, entrepreneurs serving the world. We must serve ourselves before we serve others, right? So wearing fancy knickers, putting on some perfume. What are these pleasurable things? They're micro steps for macro results. All of this adds up. All of it. An hour a day or a week to play with your body and movement, okay? Drinking and eating slowly. Something that I've had to practice because I'm not very good at it. From a big family. We eat fast. Try to get the leftovers if there is any before anybody else. Okay, so eating slowly, eating chocolate, sucking on that chocolate. Maybe buying yourself some chocolate for when the kids go to bed, maybe having your own little stash or a cacao. My pleasure is cacao. As I drink the cacao, I feel it going down and opening my heart and coming down to my yoni. And I relax into my spa, and I receive the wind, and I receive all of the senses. Pleasure is about all of your senses, okay? So let's move on. Hopefully you got some ideas there. Patience, 1 to 10. 1 being no patience, 10 being so much patience. How much patience do you have with yourself? This is about you, sacred self-service. How much patience do you have with yourself? I want to know, 1 to 10, what is that for you? I would say this is something I still need to work on, because the Virgo projector in me, it doesn't practice a lot of patience with myself. I practice it with other people, but it's very important to practice it on ourselves. So do you practice compassion and patience with yourself? How can you improve this for yourself more than ever before? I'd love to know, guys. Share with me in the chat box. Let me know how much compassion and patience and grace do you have with yourself? And I know you could be a multi-million dollar coach, or you could be someone just starting out, or maybe you're like not doing any of that. Maybe you were just like living your life, which is grand and glorious. It is literally the biggest thing we could ever do. But patience with self, it's a very interesting concept. We have to practice patience with our children, with our partners, with our clients, with our friends, with the world. How often are we doing that with ourselves? So, taking time to do your tasks, realizing you are a time creator. Time is not linear. If I want more space, more time, I will say, can I please have more space for that? And all of a sudden, the universe opens those doors and goes, here you go, madam. Here's some time. Here's some space. I asked last week, I was like, oh, okay, school holidays. And, we're coming into Magnificent Mediumship certification season coming in February. So, of course, I'm going to be putting out my feelers to see who wants to come into that. Of course, I'm doing the 7-day program here, and I've got 2 little kids at home, 2 mini gens, 8 and 10, but still need a lot of attention, right? And I was like, oh, dear Lord. How am I going to do this? It would be so great if I had the space to serve my communities, to be with my children and my husband and my friends, and to do all these different things. That would be so beautiful. And next minute, my mum rings me up and says, hey, Victoria, would you like your kids to come and stay with us for 5 days before Christmas? We'll meet you halfway. They can come and stay with us. They can do some hopping around the aunties, because my sisters are down there. They're like second mums. So they've got 3 extra mums, essentially, and cousins. They can jump around for 5 days. What a great life for my kids. And I said, wow, let me think about that. Nearly said no. Why would I say no? Now I'm going to have 5 days before Christmas to put all my energy into the creations that I want to create in my business and spend time with my husband walking on the beach. I created that because I said, how can I do this? What else is possible? What would it take? Because I wasn't willing to ignore my children. In fact, after today's session, I'm turning off my phone. I'm going to be spending the rest of the day with my family. And then I'll check in on my phone later and I'll come in and see what you guys have said, of course. But then I've got a girlfriend coming from a completely different city to have a cacao ceremony with me. And we're going to spend all evening catching up because we haven't seen each other for over 10 years. Miracles and magic happen when you ask. But so many of us aren't asking, and then we're nearly rejecting it. When someone says, I can do this for you. No, thank you. I got this. I'm fine. Cutting off our nose to spite our face. How does that resonate with you? Let me know. Okay, so where was I? Realizing that you're the time creator. Grace. Rome wasn't built in a day. So many clients. Okay, so we're talking about patience right now. So many clients will come to me and they go, I want to be a medium and I want this result and I want 100K months and I want da-da-da and I want da-da. I'm like, that's cool. Yay, we can do that. Yay. You can do that. I'll help you do that. And then after 2 weeks of working with me, they're like, why don't I have it yet? Why am I not there yet? Why don't I have 100K month yet? Why don't I? I'm like, well, you haven't built the community. Well, you haven't practiced. Well, you haven't done the work that I gave you to do, the signature methodology, or like you haven't been doing your sacred self-service. So we have to take the micro bites for the macro results, right? Okay. We've got to tap in every day. How now? How am I feeling? How much patience am I bringing? Now, 8 years it has taken me to get to this space now where I can just literally go, wow, okay, yeah, I can just channel it out. I can create it. I can do all this. It's taken me 8 years, but I had to start somewhere. And I started off with 1 20-minute meditation every day. That was it. And it was a non-negotiable. Write this down. Non-negotiable. I have non-negotiables in my sacred self-service. My family know it. Everyone knows it. Victoria's going to go and have a lie down now. I'm done. Even like distant relatives, people come and stay and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go lie down now. And people are, okay. And I'm like, this is what I do. I go and I lie down. I go rest. I'm going to go integrate now. I'm going to go ground now. I'm going to go for a walk now. People are like, oh, okay. Because I can't sit like most people with people for hours. I can't do it. It's nearly impossible because I'm such a sensitive empath to others, right? So having patience with yourself, making non-negotiables and saying, I'm going to do this. And this is why we've got this workbook. How can you improve yourself more with your own patience? Your dreams are happening. Be patient and create the space for them to manifest. I'll read that again. Your dreams are happening. Be patient and create the space for them to manifest. You have to let the materialization come into your reality. You got to be able to, you're manifesting it, but it's got to materialize. And too many people do not have the patience. Where's my $100,000? Where's my online mediumship? You got to create the platform, people. You got to create the foundations, and it happens with your sacred self-service. You getting what I'm putting down, guys? Okay, the last one here is practice. Okay, so 1 to 10, how often are you practicing the things that you want? What is your hairy, audacious goal? We're going to get into this in the next modules, of course. What is your hairy, audacious goal? What is your dream? If it's to be a platform medium, is it to make $100,000 months or years? Is it to be a multimillionaire? Is it to have your own shop? What do you want? How do you want to show up? Do you want to have like a tight fit, energetic body? Do you want to have a wardrobe full of like, I don't know, hats and shoes? Like, what is the thing that turns you on? Because let's face it, everybody has turn-ons. I like hats. I've only got like half a dozen hats because I like my hats, and I get kind of like, I don't get attached to many things, but to hats, I'm like, oh, I like this one. We've got a bit of a history together, so we're wearing you today, but I visualize myself having a whole massive wall of divine hats. Okay. And so I got to practice. How do I practice that? I wear my hats. They're not just to be there for show. I wear it. I practice it. I practice what I preach. I show up. I do the things. I wear the clothes. I go to the gym. I have the shoes. Whatever it is, I practice. I do the mediumship. I do the coaching. Even when I'm uncomfortable, I will stretch myself. And that means with my sacred self-service, it's really uncomfortable coming inward and working on me sometimes. It's uncomfortable to journal. It's uncomfortable to dance. It's uncomfortable to do breath work. It's uncomfortable, but I practice it. I do it. I keep showing up. Even if I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to bypass all of this and get to the goals that I want. You can't. You've got to work through it. You've got to earn it. You've got to take a step by a step by a step by a step. It does not happen overnight. Okay. How does this feel for me? You. I can say, how does this feel for me? So what does the word practice mean to you? I just gave you some examples. Do you practice and celebrate yourself for never giving up? How can you bring more practice and celebration to yourself? Celebration is key. Celebrating everything. I had a client message me and she said, Victoria, I just got paid to do my first reading. Oh my God. I had another client message me, Victoria, I just practiced my very first reading and I feel like I'm on top of the world. And I'm like, yay, both of them are just as important, yay. I have some people going, oh my goodness, I just did my first live on Facebook, or I want to change my name of my business, or I've realized what my purpose is. And every single time someone does that and they speak it out, I'm celebrating this. I'm bragging this. I'm like, yes, let's go. We're not taught that. I know if I said to my mum, guess what? Or I said to any older kind of generation that hasn't been doing this work, I did this and I did that. And hey man, like humble pie. No, F humble pie. Let's celebrate together. Rise, sister, rise. Let's go. Really important. Practice and then celebrate. Okay. Alrighty. I'm just going to whip through the next of it. Time goes so fast. How much fun are you guys having right now? Now, you may feel a bit of resistance. It might be like, I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. How long is it going to be? You might have that, but this is the beautifulest, best gift you'll ever give yourself is going through this process. I promise you. I went through it and it was like pulling teeth. It's like, I don't want to look at myself. I did. And now it's so easy because I practiced it, right? Everyone is different. So now it's time to see what lights you up. Everyone is so different. I didn't realize that I didn't want all the things my sister-in-law had, right? So my sister-in-law is amazing. And she is an incredible high energy being with a very successful job. And her husband's a very successful person as well. And they love to travel. They love to go away for weekends. They love to have their barbecues, and they should be laughing so hard if she was listening to me right now. But she's not on this group, so she's not woo-woo at all. She gets the things that she wants. She works hard, she plays hard, and and she's beautiful. She's gorgeous, and I just adore her. I've known her since she was 13 and I was 16. We're basically sisters. And I used to be like, look, I want like kind of the vehicles that they have, and I want to go on like trips overseas like they do a few times a year, and I want to go do adventures every weekend. And it seems so out of reach for me. It was out of reach because we didn't have any type of money like that or time. Like, who's got the time and money for that? Those who create it. Anyhow, one day I sat there and I went through this process. Well, what do I actually want? What brings me joy? So we're going into this joy list right now, right? On on page 3. So what is my sacred self-service? And I realized, what do I want? Because we're all different. I don't want to travel 3 times a year because I am a real homebody and I love my beach town. I love the beach, and it's exhausting for me to travel. So I don't really want to travel. Once a year is fine, or once every couple of years, to be honest. I don't want to go away every single weekend. I want to stay at home so I can have sacred self-service of being in quietness and space, right? I knew all the things I didn't want. So then I was like, well, what do I do want? So I can see now it's not envy that I have towards my sister-in-law. It's an awareness that she's receiving and doing what she wants. So what do I want? If other people can have it, then so can you, but do you want it? Good question to ask. So when you are serving yourself, life becomes effortless, absolutely effortless, because you are full, okay? And it might start off small, the micro step, but you add on top of that. And that's what we're doing for the 7 days of transcendence. So I've given you an example of a joy list here. Having a cup of tea. That is a sacred self-service. Last night I had Blue Lotus and mugwort before I went to bed. Sometimes I just have what we call in New Zealand a gumboot tea, so just like a black tea with milk. Yum. Sometimes I have like a detox tea. Having a hot glass of water. Do you know how beautiful your body loves that so much, right? So going for a walk, meditating, dance, yoga, candles, eating fruit, nice music. I've written some of my own ones here, going to the beach, having great friendships, I don't need massive groups of friends, but I've got a couple of friends that are gems that I'm just like, oh, they're there when I want them to be, and vice versa. It's just easy, okay? Making love, art, journaling, going out for lunch. What is your joy list? What brings you joy? What are things that you can do every single day that bring you joy? Having a nice breakfast for me is like so important. So I make myself like an overnight wheat bix, and I have like fruit and yogurt and protein powder, or I'll go out for a beautiful brunch. It brings me so much joy to know I'm nurturing my body. So I want you guys to write yourself a joy list. This is your homework. If you don't have the workbook, just write it down. Why is it so important to have a joy list? Because so many people have emotional waves. They go up and down. Before our cycles, usually before our bleed, we are like, I have got lack of energy. I'm not motivated. We have cycles and rhythms, and we have waves. And I, as a coach, will coach those in human design that have emotional waves. So they can have these massive big drops. And I say, go back to your joy list. Have you been doing it? No, I've been doing none of that. Okay, well, you need to go pick something off your joy list. We need to shift your vibration. You can change your mode just like that. You can choose your mood by taking action on it. Okay, so review your joy list daily. Remember to fill your cup first. Add to and change your joy list because you're always growing and evolving, right? So it's really important. My joy list back in the olden days was literally like 8 years ago was have a wine at night, have coffee all during the day because joy was energy for me, and meditate once a day. Interesting. I've bypassed most of all of that. And now my whole life is like this joy list. Every day I'm continuously incense, candle, music, walking, spa, cacao, making love, dancing, all of the things, micro to macro. Okay. Okay, so how to create, I know we've gone over time a little bit here, so I really appreciate your time. So I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. How to create an SSS, a sacred self-service practice. Okay, all these S's. So your body is your temple. Our body is our temple. Make sure we're nurturing, nourishing the temple. So what I do is I create a bit of a ritual. I create myself like a temple, right? So it's like this a space where I have I've got one right over here. I've got this beautiful like little shrine, if you will. So I've got a part of the beach there. I've got some crystals. I've got the Virgin Mary. I've got a plant. It's basically bring the energies of the elements. And I sit ritualistically in the energy of these beautiful things that I have, and I sit in the energy of all of it, receiving it. So I put my hands up. Quite often you can just get like a tray. You can do it if you don't have. I've got a whole studio, so I create little mini temples everywhere, altars. Sorry. So temples, altars, it's all kind of that similar energy, and I will literally get myself a tray and I'll put crystals and candles. I will even put my glass of water on there, a plant on there, a little statue on there, my journal on there, a pack of cards, and I'll just go sit on the ground and be like, okay, this is my sacred self-service. This is my ritual. I always have incense or Paleo Santo or whatever, maybe a book, and I'll just sit there and go, I've got an hour to do whatever I want to do in this area. I have music on. I will do some journaling. I might get up and dance a little bit. I might get my drum out. I've got a drum back there. And I don't know what I'm going to do in my sacred self-service. Okay. So sacred self-service can be little mini things every day, like we've talked about. And it can be an actual service that you give yourself daily. Now, we can make our shower a full-blown ritualistic service where we're washing our body and we do it with love, as we're playing with the water. And then when we get out, I put oil on this morning and I'm like rubbing my body. I'm just like, oh, so good. Like that is a service for ourselves. Our body is not who we are. It is one part of us. So what I do with my sacred self-service is I really create a space where I can be. My family knows I'm like, hey guys, I'm just busy. I'm just in my studio, and they know to go do their own thing for an hour. I say, I'll come in and see you when I'm done. And I sit in the energy of all of me. But I don't make it rigid because I'm not a rigid person. I go with my discipline is all about how I am in my feminine flow. So hopefully I gave you some ideas there. I would love to hear from you. How has this session been today? Pop it in the chat box. Let me know how this is all landing for you. It's always a little bit like, whoa, this is a little bit of work. Yes, it is a little bit of work because it's really important for us to go beyond this reptilian mind of ours, to go past the mind of, oh my goodness, like I just want the thing. I want the thing. I want the thing. It's like, hang on a minute. Let's work backwards, or let's start fresh. Where are we at? Where are we going? What are our energy leaks? Let's clean them up. Let's add in some beautiful habits and procedures and tools. Let's just give it a go. Let's give it a go and see if we just add in a couple little things, take some action, what else is possible. So coming up tomorrow is the nervous system. And the nervous system, we're going to go through some massage, some breath. We're going to talk about why it's so important to be regulated. Okay. Like I said at the beginning, we don't want to be crashing and doing a self-service because we're in bed sick, and too many of us have worked to the bone. And the only way that we've been able to serve ourselves is when we're in bed sick. And this has got to stop. This isn't the 5D paradigm. This is old way of living. You don't, if you miss work, it's because you're dying. That's what I was told. And I only miss work when I was actually dying in bed. The rest of the time I was just taking medication just to stay okay, cold and flu tablets or whatever. If I had a cold, it was like, nope. But now it's like, well, actually, if I feel something coming on, I look after myself before it escalates into full-blown sickness. So how can we serve ourselves now? So we're always transcending rather than just trying to stay alive. Okay. Alrighty, my loves, thank you for being here today for day 1 of Transcendence. And stay tuned because our very last session on the 7th day, we are going to be doing an incredible light language to really integrate faster so we can transcend faster as well. And stay tuned. Keep commenting and letting me know how you're going. I will be diving in daily to have conversations with you in the chat box. And I will see you guys soon. Namaste.